Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 3 of Festive Fall. My name is Maria Belcher, and I'm the Executive Director at Festival Charleston, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this evening's performances from Imagine Circus. We have 2 back-to-back 30-minute shows for you today. The first, A Circus at Home, will dazzle you with expert juggling, artistic object manipulation, and graceful balance. The second, we're joined by cryogenic physicist Adam from Imagine Circus, while he demonstrates a vacuum chamber, liquid nitrogen, and lots of other fun items. We have 5 more days of Festive Fall, plenty of time for you to enjoy all of the wonderful art, music, theater, dance, and so much more that we have prepared for you. Check out the full schedule of events at festivalcharleston.com. Thank you for tuning in, and enjoy the shows.
Hello, I'm Adam from Imagine Circus, and I'm coming to you all the way from Raleigh, North Carolina. We're spending a lot of time at home these days, so I thought I would bring you out here to where I was raised, in this barn. Were you raised in a barn? Well, I wasn't actually raised in this barn either, but I bet you've probably been asked if you were raised in a barn a time or two. If you have, say yes. Yes. I'm here to celebrate Festival with all of you, and together we will celebrate art, music, theater, dance, and so much more. I am part of the more because I am a circus performer, and I'm here to juggle and entertain you for the next 30 minutes. Are you ready for some awesome entertainment? You gotta say yes. Okay, I can't hear you. Say yes. All right, I'm gonna start out with a little bit of club juggling.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
enjoy the juggling? I sure had a good time. Next, I'm going to do a prop called the Diabolo. I hope you enjoyed the Diabolo. I really love playing with that toy. Have you ever tried to catch anything with a string? It's really challenging. Up next, I want to share with you one of my favorite things to do. It's called a rolling globe, and it's that big ball right there next to me. landing on a ball while you're juggling 5 balls is really tough. But I bet you could do it if you practiced a lot. Lots of people like to enjoy my 4 and 5 ball juggling act. But have you ever seen a 1 ball juggling act? No? Are you sure? Never seen a 1 ball juggling act? Wow. This is called contact juggling, and I hope you enjoy it. Did you enjoy that contact juggling? Did it look awesome? Do you want to be an awesome contact juggler? I bet you do. So let me show you the first step in how to become a contact juggler. The first thing you need to do is go find a ball. And you need a ball that's about the size of your hand or smaller. You don't want one of your big balls like that one, okay? Now, you're going to hold your hand out in front of your chest so that your fingers and your wrist and your elbow are all in a nice straight line. You got that? Okay. Now, dip your middle finger down just a little bit. A lot of people have a really hard time with just getting that middle finger to move independently of the other fingers. And if you can do it, that's really awesome. And if somebody next to you is having trouble with it, maybe you could encourage them to practice a little bit more. So once you get your middle finger down just a little bit, you take your ball and balance it on the back of your hand so that it's touching your index finger, your middle finger, and your ring finger. You got that? It's pretty hard, huh? Yeah. So put the ball in front of your chest so that it's balanced and touching all 3 of those fingers. Now, you want to try moving around with the ball a little bit. So we're going to start by moving our arm. So I'm going to take my arm and I'm just going to extend it forward. And then I'm going to bring it back. And then I'm going to extend forward, and then I'm going to bring it back. Pretty tough, huh? Yeah. All right, so you're going to extend forward and bring it back. And as you become more comfortable, go out just a little bit farther. And a little bit farther. You might even try straightening your elbow so that you're holding it all the way at the tip of your arm. Now, how are you doing with that? Is it working? If you're having a lot of challenge, just keep playing and you'll get better at it. Practice will make you better. Next, you want to try moving your hips around. So while you're holding the ball, just sway from side to side on your feet. See how any type of movement probably makes the ball fall over? Yep. That just means you got to practice a little more. Once you get that part, try bending your knees and come back up. And bend your knees and come back up. So that as you get better at it, you can move your knees and your hips and your arm. Now, once you're feeling comfortable with that, if you're able, try moving the ball to the other hand by dipping your middle finger down and balance it over there. And repeat that same set of skills. First, you want to move your arm around. Next, you want to move your hips around. And then last, start bending your knees. And once you have all of those parts together, then you move your arm while you're bending your knees, while you're moving your hips. I have a secret. You know what that was? That was the get you up out of your seat in the middle of the performance bit. Did you get up out of your seat and have fun moving around with the ball? I hope so. You know, a lot of us wear different hats in our lives. Some of us mow the yard. Some of us have to do the dishes. Some of us are kids. Some of us are adults. And these are all different hats. I have a different hat. I'm going to put my different hat on, okay? Oh wait, where'd my hat go? I just had the hat. Did you guys see where the hat went? It was just in my hand. Wait, what? It's behind me? I don't see it behind me. Oh, it's over there? Oh, I don't see it over there. It's on the end of my stick? I don't think so. Oh, there it is. I got it. Don't worry. Don't worry. I'll get it. I'll get it. I'll get it. Whoop. Oh, sorry. Sometimes I drop my hat, you know. I just need to pick it up. Oh, don't worry. I got it. I got it. Here. You know what? I'm just gonna hold it right here. Okay. Got the hat. Everything's okay. Did you like that? All right, I'm gonna put this hat down now. Put my other hat back on. Turn on some music, and here we go. You ready? Because I have a second one right here. I have one final thing to share with you today. These are called palm spinning balls. And I don't normally get to share this on a stage because you kind of got to be up close to see them. So we're going to zoom in so that you can look at them from above, because this is a video, so we get to do that rather than watching me perform it on a stage. And I hope you really enjoy it.
I've walked through the valleys of the wilderness in time, only to find out that you have love in places I can't describe. I need you. It's the sunrise. I just want to let you know I love you. Don't ever let go, 'cause the sun don't shine when you're not around mine. And I never be without you.
Did you enjoy the show? I can't hear you. You gotta scream, yeah, really loud. I'm all the way on the other side of this video. Awesome. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your festival and that you get to see many fabulous pieces of art, dance, theater, and music. And of course, circus. I'm wishing you all a fun and wonderful fall, and I hope to see you again next year. Today, I want to share with you some things about science. I'm a scientist, and I specialize in how to make things really, really cold and how to keep them cold. So, what you have to do when you want to make something cold is you have to stop other things from heating it up. Because the way everything works is it's trying to become the same temperature. You can think about this like when you hold ice cream in your hand, or maybe you just hold a piece of ice in your hand and it starts to melt. That's because the ice is becoming the same temperature as you. Now there's 3 ways that heat transfers from one thing to another thing. And to make things stay cold, we have to stop the heat from transferring. So take a moment and think about the ways that heat gets from one thing to another thing, right? Think about your experiences, or maybe you've already been in a science class and you've talked about how heat and energy transfer from one thing to another thing. And if you have, then go ahead and say it to the people around you. All right, have you thought about it? If you didn't take a class on it, think about the ways that you feel hot and cold. Have you thought about some things? Great. Now, I'll give you the answer for what science has to say are the 3 ways that energy transfers and heat transfers from one thing to another thing, right? Now, the first way is through light. And we've all probably experienced this when you went outside on a hot day and you felt the sun coming down on your skin, right? That's light sending heat all the way from the sun to your skin. And we call that radiation. The second way is through some type of solid like metal or maybe through glass. And if one side of a piece of metal is hot and you touch the other side, then you feel hot also, right? Or if one side is cold and you touch it, you feel cold. An example of this might be if you were holding an ice cream cone and the ice cream on the inside is cold, right? But your hand is warm, and so when you touch it, you feel that coldness and your hand starts to warm up the ice cream. That's called conduction. So transfer of heat through a solid is called conduction. The third style is called convection, and that's when heat transfers through some type of liquid or gas moving around. So you might think about when you get in your car after it's been cold outside, or maybe you come into your house and you can feel the vents blowing hot air onto you, right? That is convection. All right, so when I'm doing an experiment and I want to stop hot things from making my cold experiment warm up, I have to stop those 3 ways that heat goes from the room into the thing that I'm making cold. With light, it's pretty easy in some ways. Usually we use some type of metal. So I have here a thermos, right? And you see that the outside of the thermos is just all black. So if I took like hot water or something and I poured it into this thermos, the hot water would not get heated up, would not heat up or cool down because the outside is black. Or you could put cold water in there and the same thing would happen. It would not heat up or cool down because of light hitting it, right? Now this thermos is a little special actually because it has a vacuum inside of it, which means they've taken out all of the air between the outer container and the inner container. And when you take out all of the air, like I said, that convection happens when heat transfers through a gas or a liquid. And so if you can take out all the air, you can stop the heat through the air from moving into whatever you put inside of there. Now, this idea about how to take out the air is sometimes confusing to people. So I thought I would show you a way to understand this a little bit better. Now, all of the things that you can see, hear, taste, touch, or smell are made out of atoms and made out of molecules, right? So there's actual stuff there, right? The air is made of stuff. And so if I take some of the air and I put it inside of this balloon, then I've taken the stuff in the air and I put it inside of the balloon. Let's go ahead and do that. Right? And you can see now that some air is trapped inside of there. And if I open up the end a little bit, then the air comes out of it, sometimes with a really silly sound. So let's put some air back in. Now, if I take this and I tie off the end, right? Now that amount of air is trapped inside of the balloon. And if I squeeze it, you see that the balloon deforms, and I can't get the air out just by squeezing, unless I pop it, of course, right? But the air isn't just like moving out of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this balloon and I'm going to put it inside of this chamber right here. And this chamber is called a vacuum chamber, and I have it hooked up to a vacuum pump. And what this pump is going to do is it's going to pull all of the air, or some of the air, out of this container. Now remember, the balloon is still inside of there, and the number of atoms and the number of molecules inside of the balloon, they're all stuck, right? And so they can't get out. So when I remove air from the larger chamber, if that same number of atoms is in there, but there aren't as many atoms on the outside pushing on the balloon, then that balloon is going to start getting bigger, because there's just fewer atoms in the whole system. So let's go ahead and turn this on and see what happens. And you can watch this little nozzle, or this little gauge right here, and it'll tell you as the pressure goes down. And do you see that as the pressure goes down, the balloon gets bigger? And it keeps getting bigger? And now we've stopped it, right? And now there are fewer atoms, there's less air inside of the whole chamber. There's the same amount of air inside of the balloon. And so what we'd say is we've decreased the density of the air inside of there. And we could go ahead and let some of the air back in, and when I let some of the air back in, what do you think the balloon is going to do? Is the balloon going to stay the same size? Or do you think the balloon is going to return to its original size? Or do you think it's going to get bigger? Take a minute to think about that, okay? Right now, there's less air in there. If I return it to having the same amount of air as there was before, what should happen to the balloon? Do you have your guess? Okay, let's see. I'm going to turn this little valve. We're going to let the air back in. And the balloon is returning to its original size. Isn't that interesting? And that all happened without me touching the balloon. And there it is. Now let's consider something a little bit different, maybe a little bit more fun. I have here 4 marshmallows. This is Bob. This is Terrence. This is George. And this is Marshmallow Guy. Now, when I look at a marshmallow, I can see that it looks delicious. I can see that Bob is squishy, right? That's one of the wonderful qualities of marshmallows, is they're a little bit squishy. And, you know, I find myself wondering, what would happen if I took a marshmallow and I put it inside of my vacuum chamber. Do you think I should put parents inside of the vacuum chamber also? I think I should too. Now let's leave George out. And let's put Marshmallow Guy right over here next to them. And move Bob over, move Terrence over. There we go. Okay, we'll put you guys right there. Now, I'm going to start vacuuming out the air that's inside of the larger chamber. And I'm curious if you have a guess about what's going to happen to Bob and Terrence. Are you talking about it? Do you think they're going to get bigger? Do you think they're going to get smaller? Do you think they're going to stay the same size? Because what's interesting is that whatever happens to them will help us understand the structure of the marshmallow a little bit better. And I bet you've always wondered about the structure of the marshmallow, huh? No? Never wondered? They're just tasty? Makes sense. Okay, let's go ahead and vacuum out the air and see what happens. Do you see them getting bigger? Wow, they're getting a lot bigger now. They're almost as big as Marshmallow Guy. Now that's really interesting, huh? Why would the marshmallow get bigger just like the balloon did? Well, it's because the way that the sugar and the other molecules inside of the marshmallow are all combined, it's like they're a bunch of little tiny balloons. Here, we could probably use another balloon, of course. All squished up together inside of there. So there's a bunch of little air pockets inside of the marshmallow. And when we're sucking out the air, all of the little air pocket balloons in the marshmallow keep getting bigger. Isn't that interesting? How we can just suck out the air and learn something about how marshmallows are? I'm going to go ahead and vacuum them down a little bit more, and let's see what happens. They're getting even larger. Whoa, they're really big now. Okay, let's stop them there. All right, now what do you think is going to happen when I let the air back in? Do you think they're going to keep getting bigger? Do you think they're going to return to the same size? Maybe they're going to shrink but be a little bit larger than when they started, like George? Or do you think they're going to end up even smaller than George? I don't know. All right, let's find out. They're shrinking. They're shrinking. Oh, they're getting smaller. They're getting even smaller. Even smaller. Oh my gosh. Whoop. They're really small now. Wow. Who would have thought? Now the reason this happened to them is that as we filled up all of those little air pockets, right? We were comparing them to the balloons. As we were filling up all of those little air pockets inside of there, some of them popped. And so as it got smaller, it was like we had fewer balloons left over at the end, fewer little air pockets. And so the result is that they're smaller than when they started. They are still squishy, so that's good. Not quite as squishy. But using a vacuum pump like this is one way that we suck the air out from between the outside chamber and the inside chamber of something like this vacuum insulated thermos, so that heat can't transfer from the outside of the thermos to the inside, right? We've taken out all of the air so that heat cannot transfer through convection. Now, another technique that I use to cool things down is by using liquid nitrogen. And you might have heard of liquid nitrogen before. If you're kind of an older kid, you probably have heard of it before. If you're a younger kid, you might not. It's pretty awesome. It's very cold. We do need our glasses, safety glasses, when we're using liquid nitrogen. And you need to be really impressed with this part because it's going to look neat. Okay, are you ready? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the oohs or the ahs. I'm going to do that again. And if you could go, whoa, or or oh my gosh, or wow, that would be great. Okay, you ready? Get ready. 3, 2, 1, go. Liquid nitrogen. Okay, good. You sounded pretty impressed on that one. Now, liquid nitrogen is super cold, like way colder than ice. And the way you can think about how cold it is that it boils when it's negative 200 degrees Celsius. It boils when it's that cold. So when it's at room temperature, it definitely boils, right? Now I'm going to take some of it, pour it into this container here, and you're going to see that it's going to be boiling. Now when I put it in that container, I'm actually going to put it inside of the vacuum chamber because that it's good to have just a little bit of something in between me and glass when it's getting really cold. All right, so we're going to go ahead, pour some liquid nitrogen in there, and watch how it boils. Gotta let the gas clear. Can you hear it boiling? Can you see it boiling? Here, I'm gonna pull up a light. It's pretty amazing, huh? It's just boiling while it's sitting there at room temperature. All right, now I'm gonna take this out and I'm gonna pour it into this thermos now. And you'll see that it'll boil for a moment while it cools down the thermos. And here, I'm gonna add a little bit more liquid nitrogen to the thermos. And it's boiling, boiling. And it just stopped boiling, right? It cooled down the inside of the thermos until it was the same temperature as the liquid nitrogen. And that was possible because the outside stops light from reaching it, and the inside, because it's a vacuum, stops air from heating it up. And you might say, yeah, well, maybe there's still some nitrogen in there. And actually, I see that this got opaque, so we don't want to use that. Where's my other glass jar? Okay, grab this glass jar because it's not cold. And I'll show you that there's still nitrogen inside of here. So you know we didn't actually just get rid of all of it. See it inside there boiling? There's still quite a bit of liquid nitrogen. if again, we poured it back into the thermos, see, it stopped boiling because it's still cold inside there. And I think that's pretty awesome. Now, an interesting thing to do with the liquid nitrogen is to ask the question, what happens when it comes into contact with something like a gas, right? So I'm going to take it, I'm going to pour it into here again. See, like being able to see it a little bit. All right. I'm going to take a little bit more, pour it into there also. There we go. Go ahead and put this down here now. Here, take a balloon. Okay, we got a slightly smaller balloon. And we're going to take our smaller balloon, we're going to stick it inside of the nitrogen, and we're going to see how the balloon acts then. Okay, now it just got really smoky so you can't quite see it, but you got to get ready. Here we go. The balloon got smaller, and watch this. It filled back up. That's because when gases are colder, the volume that they take up is smaller. So if we heated this balloon up, that would be another way to make it larger. But if we cool it down, we can make it smaller. There we go. Pretty neat, huh? All right. Now this is another neat thing that you can do if you've got just the right stuff. I'm going to take this banana and we all know bananas are squishy. I'm not going to squish this exact banana. We want it to be solid because that's the way this works best. And we're going to take the banana and we're going to put it inside of the liquid nitrogen. Actually, there's not quite enough in there to get the whole banana. Let's go ahead and fill it up a little bit more. All right, that looks like it got the whole banana. Now, I'm going to take that banana and I'm going to take this nail, and I'm saying that the banana is so hard, right, that I'm going to use it to hammer this nail into a board. It's a little bit better when we're off of the table. Put this right like that. Okay. Now, this banana, as you've observed, has not gone inside of the liquid nitrogen, right? So this banana is just at room temperature. It's just a regular old banana. And I'll hold it right here. I'm going to try to hammer this nail into the board with the banana. As you can see, it doesn't really work, right? Every time I hit it, the banana bends a whole lot. But if we take out this banana that's been in the liquid nitrogen, it is so hard. Come on out of there. That I will be able to hammer this nail into the board using the banana. And there's a nail hammered into a board using a banana. I think that's pretty fun. The next funnest thing to do with some of the liquid nitrogen is to find my marshmallow, guys. Where's my marshmallow? Oh, here we go. And see what happens when we put the marshmallow inside of the liquid nitrogen. So I'm just going to boop, pop him right down inside there. And maybe we'll boop, push him down a little bit more. Hold him in the nitrogen. Want to make sure he's nice and cold. There we go. And gonna get him out, but we're just gonna dump out the nitrogen. There we go. All right, now check this out. I'm gonna take my little guy, set him right there, knock him with the board. Look at what he's doing. He's shattering, right? If I took a regular banana, oop, very sticky. There we go. Or if I took a regular marshmallow, let's take Marshmallow Man here and I hit him, definitely doesn't crack. So it's just really neat to see that when you make stuff really cold, it all acts quite differently, right? We saw that the balloon gets smaller, right? And the banana gets more brittle. And if you didn't take time to understand some of that, then you wouldn't know why. So, just want to remind you what we talked about today. So, the thermos is like a really good example of a way in which we use science to keep things like the environment from making something that we want to be cold or something that we want to be hot to stay that temperature. And we can take cold or hot things and pour them into the thermos, and it will keep them cold or hot because it stops heat from the environment from getting to the thing inside, right? And it does that by stopping light from reaching it, right? So that's radiation. It stops heat from getting to it through convection, and in this case, the convection is just that the inner thermos is only attached to the outer thermos at the very top, so it's just a very small amount of metal that's holding that inner thermos in. And it stops it by stopping, I'm sorry, did I say conduction? Yeah, that's conduction, right, in solids. And convection, which is the movement of heat through gases or through liquids. And so because it's a vacuum thermos, right, and they vacuumed out all of the air between an outer shell and an inner shell, they stopped the heat from transferring that way. And so whenever we're doing any type of science experiment where we need things to stay hot or we need things to stay cold, those are the things that we have to do. And I hope that this was informative, and I hope you had a lot of fun. And remember that I am Adam from Imagine Circus, and I really appreciate you joining me today for Festival. Have a wonderful rest of your autumn, and I hope to see you next year. Bye.